Do you ever blame other people for things that go wrong? Do you ever feel guilty when something doesn't go quite right? These are two very rough emotions. And to this morning, we're going to talk about how to get rid of that crap and focus more on what really matters in life. Enjoy the show. Financially free and enjoy more of what the world has to offer in this action one, because this is where most human beings screw the pooch. So a little one-person trampoline, very I screen shared it. Like, there's no excuse. Like, phone numbers are just out there. You just got to pick up the phone, smile, and dial. So good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best entrepreneur you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Good morning. And we have a very special show today as we're talking about two things that have ruined so many lives. Things that continue to cause me a lot of suffering, things that have probably caused you quite a bit of suffering, things that we call everyone that we possibly meet and know suffers from this in some way, shape, or form. And that is in the form of blame and guilt. These are the two things that we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be talking about how this crap is absolutely useless. And we're going to be going over some strategies, tips, tricks, and ideas to help reduce and eliminate, as our favorite metaphor we always talk about. Good morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. We always are talking about we're never going to run that marathon, that mile in 0 minutes and 0 seconds. And the goal is to eliminate as much as possible of this extra weight and crap that comes into our lives. As we're trying to be better people more often, I believe the road to this path of success comes when we can reduce blame and get rid of guilt. So let's go ahead and go over to the board this morning. Good morning, everyone. So this is episode number 333. That's a lot of threes rolling on through. Good morning this morning. So we're going to be talking about blame. And then we're going to be talking about guilt. Blame and guilt. We're going to go over them and we're going to talk about them. Good morning this morning. Thanks for tuning in to the show. We're going to be talking about some blame and some guilt. And so first, let's go ahead and start with blaming. Why does blaming not work? Because blaming is external in nature. External. So when something is external, blaming someone else for something not going right, what tends to happen? When things are external and they're not internal, we lose locus of control. There is no control. It is out of our control. This causes us to feel helpless. And when we feel helpless, what tends to creep in? Things like anxiety, other sad emotions that can just rile us up, boil us up, and just not allow us to perform at our best. So when I were to ask you, how much changed when you blame that other person? How did they improve? Did you improve? What got better? Nothing, because under this principle of external versus internal, it needs to come internally to understand that in order for us to have any order of control. I'm looking over here at some of my side notes I was chopping up earlier this morning for blame. So yeah, external factors, we relinquish control. Something that prevents us from taking positive steps. And when we blame and we're working with other people, there's something really crazy that happens. So when you blame somebody else, what happens? They become defensive. Man, this chalk really isn't communicating this morning. When someone becomes defensive, how much are we going to get done? When the gates go up, nobody's coming in. So we want to be very careful of blaming because it just doesn't do anything productive. And if anything, it kind of helps us resist the urge to change, to avoid risk. So when we blame others, it allows us to avoid risk. This is what's really happening. We're just avoiding the hard work of changing ourselves, sitting around blaming others, waiting for other people to change. When we wait for other people to change, guess who truly suffers at the end of the day? Us, ourselves, because as human beings, we do not want to blame other people. We want to have responsibility. We want to take extreme ownership in order to feel fulfilled and alive. So this goes completely against that. So blame. So this morning, the challenge would be, how can we reduce blame? How can we stop blaming others and take more responsibility for ourselves and what it is that we want to do? I need a new piece of chalk. So to kind of wrap up, productive steps to improve blame can also strain relationships by creating a defensive atmosphere, fostering resentment among others involved. So if you want people to feel resentful, if you want them to put the gates up, if you want them to not work with you, if you want them to dislike you even more, then blame's probably a good route to go. But that's not the route I want to go. Next up, we have feeling guilty. Oh man, guilt. Why does guilt not work? So when we have guilt in our lives, so for example, I had a tough run-in with one of my rentals. My tenant was actually staying at his parents' house to do knee surgery, and then these squatters came into one of our properties. This was not good. And then when I had the cops come in and they had to tell these people to leave, one of the people was like saying, she was like, I hate you. You do this to me. So homeboy, the guy, he actually had a warrant out for his arrest. And just saying all these like horrible things to me, like I hate you. You got my boyfriend arrested and did this. And I genuinely felt guilty at first. I was like, man, I'm a piece. I kind of feel like a piece of crap. And I was feeling guilty for this. But did I force these people to go into this house when they knew they were illegally trespassing? Did I force these people to like be in a financial situation? No, I did not. And so feeling guilt can cause a few things. So this is what you have to be very careful with guilt. So blaming others causes people to defensive. It causes resentments, a whole bunch of garbage that's really negative. Guilt can be mortifying in the sense that it causes shame. People feel a lot of shame when they feel guilty about something. Especially, this is really big in the past. People will spend thousands of hours in their life. I'm not even joking. Thousands of hours of thinking of stuff in the past that they feel guilty about. If I would have just handled this different, if I would have just said this different, if I would just went and just feeling tons of guilt for themselves and for their life, and how much. So say if you got a couple points for each time you felt guilty about something, and say you racked up 1,000,000 points, and bam, now you got your 1,000,000 points. What's truly changed? You could have 10 points for guilt. You could have 100 points for guilt. You could have 10,000 points for guilt. And what truly changes? Right. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, except that you've lost that present moment. And all we truly have, we talk about this all the time on the morning show, when it comes to our present moment and we miss out because we're feeling guilt, we're feeling shame, then we are truly the only ones who are missing out. So the challenge this morning would be challenge the guilt. When something comes up, when you think of something, usually in the past, this is the most common thing when I'm working with clients, when I'm trying to journal, I'm trying to understand my own life, is a lot of my shame comes from the past. And shame is a very powerful emotion, and it causes us to immobilize ourselves to not take action on the things that we want to do moving forward. So being very careful, because guilt causes shame. Shame, shame, shame. And that's shame on us, right? For when we're feeling that kind of things. Okay, next up is, what will guilt give you? Why guilt doesn't work? It makes you feel worthless. Worthless. Your confidence, your conviction goes down. Your self-worth goes down. So many times we see this, people feel guilt, and literally their ability to perform is so heavily based off of you being confident, you being positive, you being excited, all these positive emotions. But remember, we only have so much space within us to fill up. You think of yourself as a vacuum, there's only so much space. Say you got a cup, there's only so much to fill in the cup. And people will fill this with this kind of crap, with this guilt and with this blame stuff. They don't take any responsibility, so they blame everybody else. And then they fill themselves with a whole bunch of guilt, like, woe is me. And the worthless, you literally feel worthless. And of course you have a hard time changing your eating habits. Of course you have a hard time exercising. Of course you have a hard time having the confidence to go out and start a business when we're just trying to get it rocking and rolling. So we can feel worthless when we allow this guilt to come in and to fill our cup up. So I asked you this morning, how can we reduce guilt to not feel so worthless? And it's like, geez, Tanner, you're coming at it real hard. But this is the truth of it, unfortunately. So many of us slip into these moments, thinking about moments of the past, and literally reducing our self-worth. And that's something that we don't want to do. And lastly, anxiety. Of course, we have to add this on here for guilt. Anxiety brings up all the time. Okay. So anxiety is a pretty big problem right now with lots and lots of people. And I think we all feel it in some dosage throughout the day. You're going to probably feel some anxiety today, even if it's a small bit, maybe it's a lot of bit, whatever it is for you. But remember to not feel guilty about the anxiety that you feel. I think a lot of this perpetuates itself. So if you start to feel some anxiety, I would highly recommend, the most effective way is meditation. Not even close. For me, this is really, so when you feel the anxiety come up, I want you to pinpoint where it's at. Is it in your chest? Is it on your shoulders? Is it in your back? Is it on your ass? Where is this pain point? Trying to find that pain point and breathe into it. Breathe into it. And usually with anxiety work, I'm working with clients, it's really helpful to have a longer exhale than it is to have an inhale. So short, slow inhale, and then a nice full exhale. Breathing out to the point to where I can feel my diaphragm engage. I've had that feeling help a lot with anxiety. And the goal is to really let this stuff go. So you feel guilty about something, and it's literally building up anxiety, and you're about to rupture, and people don't take the time to sit down, to breathe, to relax, to pause, to focus, and allow the thought to go. So this is usually where most suffering comes from, is this identification with thought. I think I feel guilty about this situation. I think what I did in the past was wrong. So now I feel guilty, and now the guilt is starting to boil up and eat me alive today. So are you going to let these thoughts hammer, take away, destroy your present moment? Because the quality of our attention, the present moment, is all we have. We talk about this all the time. So if you have anxiety and you're suffering from this, I'd really continue to remember that anxiety is usually identification with thought. So if you have bad thoughts, if you feel bad about something, you feel bad about this, you feel bad about that, continue to remember that that is just a thought, that is not you, and you're not you of the past. This morning, we can realize that we are continuing to evolve and grow. If you're watching content like this, if you're reading good books, if you're working on your career, if you're working out more, if you're trying to eat healthier, it's all process anyway. It never ends. This is dessert's already been served, folks. The chocolate cake's already sitting in front of you. You have your youth, you have your consciousness, you have your heartbeat, you have love for yourself. The dessert's already been served. It's whether you're going to enjoy it while it's sitting right in front of you on this short time that we have on earth. So if you feel some anxiety, try to think, is this a thought or is this a feeling? And then if it is a feeling, go to the part of your body where you're feeling it and breathe into it just a little bit. And it's crazy how when we let the thought go and we embrace the pain body of where it's at, it tends to dissolve and go away. This is what we're working on, and this is what we're trying to do. This stuff is hard, but it can be done. So let's go ahead and look at, so it's like, okay, how do we actually reduce this blame and this guilt? How do we do this? The how, right? Everyone wants to know the how. The strategy, the how, the implementation. So I got a few over here that I want to kind of go over. There's just a few. So first one I really love is forgiveness. So this is the how. Forgiveness. Forgiveness for ourselves, for feeling these things. That our world is filled with this stuff. Your parents do it. Your grandparents do it. Their parents did it. For generation after generation, this stuff, it was just embodied. It was around us all the time. Your friends at school, your teachers making you feel guilty because you failed a test. Your friends, you screw up one time and all your friends are blaming the crap out of you. So it's no wonder why it's so hard for us to forgive ourselves by identifying with this just garbage bullshit that just eats away at us and makes us crappier people. So forgiveness for ourselves this morning. Tanner, I forgive myself for feeling blame, for feeling guilt, and I forgive myself for feeling some of it in the future. It's not like we're going to just sing kumbaya and then we'll never feel this stuff again. Not a chance, right? But what we can do is so on to the next tip after forgiveness is ownership. Ownership, taking ownership, because with ownership, we can have control. We can have control. And with control, we're able to raise our self-awareness. So first, we forgive ourselves for feeling this blame, for blaming others. I forgive myself for blaming others and being an idiot, not knowing that doesn't do anything good. And then also, I forgive myself for feeling this guilt. I forgive myself for feeling this shame, for this worthlessness, for this anxiety in my body, because this is part of being a human being. I forgive myself for this. And now I'm going to take ownership. And once I take ownership for knowing that these are part of me and that they come in, and then I identify them and I raise my self-awareness, then I can actually let them go. But until you forgive yourself, until we realize that this is not us, the shame and the guilt is the blame and the guilt, this is not who we are. This is just something that's been learned for a long time. And it takes a long time to get it out of ourselves, to raise our awareness, to forgive ourselves, to take ownership, to reduce and get rid of it. I'm running out of space on the chalkboard, so I'll kind of just ran on a few more of these as we wrap up the show this morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. And again, let's continue to challenge ourselves. Let's think of the times that this happened and how can we improve moving forward. There's no amount of shame, there's no amount of guilt, there's no amount of blame that will ever change anything in a positive direction. And the sooner we acknowledge this and the sooner we raise this awareness, I think we can reduce a lot of suffering and we can help a lot more people, because the ultimate gift that you can give to the world, the greatest gift that you can give to the world, is becoming a better you, not allowing blame to consume you, not blaming others, taking extreme ownership, not feeling guilty about your past, and understanding you're just a human being and you're evolving and you're growing, you're getting better, you're stronger. So I'm excited about this. I think we should all be a little excited about this on this fun, fantastic Friday, our message today, and how valuable this can be. Imagine just from here to the point forward, how much better life can be if humans didn't have blame and guilt. What would change? Would people get closer? Would people get more done? Would people just have more happier moments? Would people just feel more joy more often? Isn't that the point anyway? It's all the process. Might as well enjoy it. And I think getting rid of these two pieces of bullshit will really aid with that. So if you really enjoyed this message on shame, blame, guilt, I keep saying shame instead of blame, but blame and guilt. Let's be aware of them when they come up. Give some awareness to it. Understand that this is just a part of it. Have some empathy for ourselves. We'll solve the problems as they come. We let them go and come right back, focused on helping ourselves and helping other people. So in case you needed to hear it, I love you. You're a badass. You're strong. You got this. Let's let go of this bad crap and accept more of the good stuff and continue to move in the right direction. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, like this content, share this message with someone who you think could benefit from it. Someone who's suffering from, I mean, this stuff is suffering hardcore. If you're blaming other people, you got pointing the old finger, you got more fingers pointing back at you, and that's heavy. That's weight. You don't actually want to blame people. That shit's heavy and it makes you feel crap. You're out of control. We're talking about people getting defensive. It doesn't work and it's bad. So if you know someone who could benefit from this content, please share it with them. It means the world to me. And then if you know anyone who needs a coach, my name is Tanner Dewitt. I'm a life and business coach, and I do a 6-week course to help people really understand who they want, who they are and what they want, because we want to pay more attention to what matters most in your life. Cheers, friends. That's it for me. I'm off for the weekend. So this was episode 333, lots of threes. And I'll be back on Monday, bright and early at 8 a.m. live with another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show. Until then, friends, have an incredible weekend. And let's get rid of that guilt. Let's get rid of that blaming. It doesn't do anybody good. I'm out of here. I got stuff to do today myself. So peace out, friends. Have an incredible day. I love you all. Keep kicking butt, and I'll catch you on the next one.